what you thought was gained or lost by that transition.
I think the original short story now feels so flat compared to the film, and I gotta hand it to Dom and Clem, who actually, it was a very weird deal. They asked me to make we had a creative project. No, I asked them to shoot some photographs, and I asked Dom what he wanted, how much his talent fee was. No, obviously it was like off the charts, so I could afford it. So he said, write a script. No, I didn't know that would entail so much pain. But he and Clem chose an errand out of all the stories I had written. It was from a recent book that was way back in 2017. But I also wanna, I really wanna give credit to them because, first of all, they read all my stories. Now I don't know anybody besides my wife here, who's here, and I think my wife's mom, who is the only ones who read my stories. But they read my stories, and as I wrote it in the script, it was them who actually demanded more out of the story. Who said, and I've said this before, they said, something that makes sense on paper as a literary sense might make a different sense or less sense on screen, on cinema. And so that story didn't have the character of Rex, which is really what makes this film sort of heroic, and which is really what I owe Dom and Clem for. So that's how the story arose, and it's a very weird collaboration. We never thought about it, but and that's weird.
Questions? So yeah. I noticed that so many dogs were shown in the movie, including Ghibli. So, is there any importance of that animal, or is there some symbol regarding on that related to the story?
On my end, it's just my favorite animal, and I just think they're such a beautiful soul, and I love them very much. So they're very present there, but there might be a symbolic aspect to it, but that really belongs to, I guess, the audience and their interpretation to it. But, yeah, Ghibli was the only one that was casted. All the other ones kind of showed up during the shoot, so.
Lumalabay na daw aso, no? Actually, the song is, there are a lot of things that, you're talking about the Ilonggo song, no? That was in it.
The transition of the song choices from the beginning of the movie to the end.
Oh, the translation, you mean?
The transition.
The transition of the song choices. Lumalabay na daw aso, the key song of the story was there from the very start. It's a song that was played at I dedicate this movie to my father, who was a screenwriter, and that song was played at the burial of his own father, my grandfather. And for the longest time, I was weirded out by the song, and then I realized that most Filipino traditional songs are very existentialist, no? Very existential. No? The Filipino mind is very existential. He's caught so many times thinking about his existence. And what's funny is that song is actually a jaunty, it's a lively song, when it's usually sung. But when it was sung at my grandfather's funeral, it was very slow, like it's sung here. It just stuck, it talks about the fleetingness of life. And I think it just gets so connected. And we don't want to get into the symbolisms and the meanings of things, We want things to remain opaque as they are to us, when we created the film. But that song is so loaded with emotion for us, and it's so loaded with meaning, so much so that we have to credit Mike Benedicto, who actually took really deconstructed the song, and you can hear it in the electronic music that flows all throughout the film. I think, Dom, you should talk about how you inspired Mike or you and Mike talked about that. No?
Is Mike here? Well, yeah, I think Mike's approach was really to kind of consider the Kundi Man as like the basis for the structure of the song. On my end, I think we tried to use the Kundi Man when it was really kind of an older rapport in between the amo and the driver, and I think Michael's music really came in for more of the internal journey and the process that the character Moroy is doing. And the Tarshish soundtracks were really more of a moment of freedom that the character is kind of going through. So yeah, the music was really helping the narrative move forward.
I guess. Yeah.
Hey, I have a question for Sid. Oh God. How did you prepare for this role?
Oh my God.
What a pro.
Okay, the preparation was kind of strange because we shot this film and was already working with something else, on something else. I was just thinking that this is the first time I watched the film, by the way, as a whole, and by the way, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, at least what I've done. In my entire career, I've been working for 20 years. I've never seen anything like this. I love it, it's beautiful, it's amazing. So to answer your question, it really felt like there are times when you get a script and you know exactly what you need to do, right? Then there are times when you get a script and you're like, what the fuck? And when that happens, you're really just along for the ride. You're like a tourist. You're watching people express how they express whatever their art form is to them. So half of the film is just me trying to figure out what the fuck you guys want. In fact, I wish I knew exactly what the cinematography was doing because, oh my God, no wonder we were spending that much time figuring things out. It's all like reflections. I didn't know that was going on. It was amazing, and I guess to answer your question, I was really just feeding off everybody's energy. I knew what Dom wanted, I knew what Sarge wanted, and even on the first day of doing the film, I still didn't know what I was gonna do. But then again, I guess that's exactly what was needed of the character, was to just present himself as if he was applying for a job and take it as it was. And exactly that was what was going on. And plus the fact of lack of sleep and driving, all that. Oh my God! I don't think I've spent that much time in a car ever. Holy crap! I can spend like 42 hours in a car now doing a shoot, and I'm not gonna feel a thing. It's fine. Like, it was amazing. Like, sana I could be like more eloquent about how I prepared, but it's really just watching you guys do your thing. I'm really blessed, man. This is amazing. Like, oh wow. Now I get it.
This is about the ending, and he goes down that location, and this man running. That's supposed to be the guy. Bitoy ba yun? What's the name?
Rex.
Rex that survived. And was that supposed to be a real thing, or it's in his imagination? With all the bullet wounds all over his chest, was that supposed to be real?
No, as a writer, I'm prevented from talking about my work. No, but
But this is
in this film, because as a paid writer, now I must talk about my work.
yeah.
No. Yes, in fact, in the end, Rex is a fantastic character. No? It's meant to be he's a fantasy. In fact, si Rex mahirap pag-usapan ang buhay ng driver dahil hindi kahit anong gawin ko, hindi ko alam paano pasukan yun. Hindi ko maiintindihan yun. I cannot presume to know what they feel or what they think. But we know the experience of the Filipino and we understand the globality of the experience of the Filipino. And we always have a fantasy. No? When it comes to somebody like a driver who we can call an employee, or somebody who works under somebody, which is all of us here, no, was somebody to answer for, no, to answer to. No? There will always be somebody in their fantasy. No? So in this case, Rex is that driver na naging bodyguard na nag-survive, na nakawala, na wala na siyang utang, na bago na yung buhay niya, na hindi siya namatay, na nabuhay siya ulit. And this becomes the fantasy of the story. What I don't know is if it's a story of defeat, if it's a story of acceptance, or if it's a story of a moral victory. No, that's not mine to answer. But what I want to say is that we really owe it, the entire producers, Dom and I, we owe it to Sid and to Eric Kelly for really. There was a time when Sid he had taken on. Sid is he's too humble to talk about his experience, really. But I'll talk about the night before our day one. I was on a call. He started banging on my door, and I got 10 missed calls. Sarge, this is Sid Lucero. This is Timmy Eigenman. I'm also Sid. Kasi he wanted me to explain his character to him. And that was just one whole night just talking to him. And we were drinking that night and talking just about that character. We spent hours. So much so that during that scene that final scene, it was Sid who was talking to Eric about how the character would play out. And we had taken Sid for granted so much that he became the driver of the set, actually. No? Na-realize namin kasi may mga malalayong scenes na hindi naman kailangan siya yung nagda-drive. Pero siya po yung driver ng lahat ng scenes na yun na malalayo. No? Na-release. Tumayo na siya. No? Pero ako nagmamaneho dito. Sabi niya ganun. But I got to hand it to them. And I want to thank you for asking that question because that question remains in our minds also na, is it a fantasy? Is Sid in fact Rex? No? And we also want to say it was also the character of it is also Mang Ben, no? The character played by Tata Nanding, who acts as Homer. No? He brings the character of Rex to life. He creates a fantasy character. Hindi natin alam kung totoo talaga yun si Rex o hindi. Hindi natin alam kung totoo. Pero gano'n talaga nangyayari, no? Kahit sa usapan, no? Meron talagang isang matanda, no? In this case, ako. Matanda na magkikwento, tapos magnagkwento siya lahat makikinig ng ganyan, no? In this case, meron magbibigay ng tall tale and everybody listens to that urban legend and pinangatawan na talaga ni Tata Nanding yun. Before I turn it over to Tata Nanding because marami siyang nakwento sa isang interview namin na gusto kong marinig din Nanding tungkol sa yung struggles ni Mang Ben. No? Mang Ben is a real character based on a real person. A person that I really loved, who was a driver and who's always in need. No? And this movie is also dedicated to him. So this movie is really fantasy, reality, and everything. And part of our mission, I guess, is to show it as it is. No, show it as it is. If you see it as Rex as a real character, then so be it. If you see him as a fantasy, then so be it. Or if you see him as a memory, no, or something else, then so be it. It is what it is. So gusto ko lang marinig si Tata Nanding kasi pinangatawan na niya talaga.
Hindi ko alam yung sinabing pinangatawanan. Madali naman yung role. Matanda eh. No acting, please. But I enjoyed my vacation in Baguio. At saka masarap katrabaho sila lahat. Especially itong dalawa. And it was quite easy for me to do the role kasi una, marunong man talaga akong drive. Meron din akong drivers. And I've been in theater and cultural work for about 50 years already. Working here in Manila and in the regions, and I've worked with people who have nothing. Sa regions, sa communities, people who don't have money to buy food or buy medicine if they get sick, nangungutang. So I'm quite exposed to these people who are marginalized. So it was easy. It was easy understanding the story. It was easy working with them. So that's the reason I enjoyed my vacation in Bali. But the deeper part of it is that I realized that the film is really about social inequality, social injustice. Pero napaka-simple ng pagkagawa nilang dalawa. You feel the problem of the poor and the oppression that they experience, whether consciously or unconsciously doon sa mga amo. Kasi mukhang mababait naman yung amo doon sa film. So walang rarara, walang sigawan. But when you look at the whole thing, you get hurt. I got hurt watching it because it's very human. It's something that I think everyone should see, and I think people will discover something about ourselves that we probably don't realize most of the time if we're dealing with people who are serving us. Kasi minsan hindi natin sila pinapansin because we have our own tasks, responsibilities, or work. Kaya minsan talagang utos, kung kailangan bigyan ng pera para sa pagkain, bigay lang, and we don't actually know their real lives. At totoo rin yung linya na kahit anong gawin mo sa amo mo, kahit gano'ng katagal ka, mga amo can easily let you go and find somebody else to drive for them or serve them. But they're human beings who should be understood, should also be assisted if they actually need help. So, yun ang marami kong natutunan sa pelikula.
Gusto ko lang i-add, no? I just want to add now, we mentioned this, Dom, no? One of the things that we really had to pay attention to from the very beginning was we had to respect those who we could not speak for or we should speak for. Actually, see, D was the one who set me aside and said, no, we have to make sure that tama yung sinasabi natin, that we're fair, na we're not, and I know Dom, no, also as a film archivist, and I realized as we were doing this na we really are proceeding from Broca, no, who now we are proceeding from Broca, and it's not a question of anong uri namin, gitnang uri ba kami, o kung anong uri namin, pero kung sino ang kailangan namin, ano ang realidad na kailangan pakita. Just as Philippine cinema proceeds from Broca and from Ishma and from all those others who spoke for those who cannot be spoken for, those who cannot speak for themselves.
Nagdag ko lang yun. Ganun yung naramdaman ko when we were shooting it. Sabi ko parang pelikulang, I worked for Lino before. I was with Peta. he was executive director, and he did a lot of films na kasama kami. And ganun ang nararamdaman ko nung ginagawa namin yung pelikula. Hindi ko lang sinasabi sa kanilang dalawa. Nasabi ko na after. I felt the same way when I was doing the couple of films for Love Diaz. Ganun din. Quiet, napaka-humble. When they explain something, it's like, baka ito pwede mong gawin, but there's a sense of freedom that they're actually giving to you, to me. Choice ko pa rin kung ano yung gagawin as an actor, kahit na parang meron silang sinasabi na gusto nilang gawin. Ang sarap ng pakiramdam working with them.
Congratulations again. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up, but thank you so much for joining us and for participating in the Talkback.